Welcome back, comrades. This is Gaming with Austin. And today, we're on to episode 17 of season 2 of the Utopian community series. So, we're gonna keep going on with adding more windows to the vertical farm. I have 7 more. I have 7 more floors to go. Once those floors are done, I'd work from the inside. I'd work from the inside out. So, 7 floors left, which means 28 layers left to do. I was just coughing, that's all. The only dedicated, the only gaming console already did. That layer. 27 layers left to do. I am very high up, by the way. Just so you know. The best way to make explosives for a zombie apocalypse: get some cola, aluminum foil, and set it up to a long burning fuse, so the plastic would have a chance to melt and the sparks would go through. That'd be a makeshift hand grenade. That'd be a makeshift hand grenade. Basically, it'd be like a homemade holy hand grenade. Except it's not holy. Like it was Monty Python the Holy Grail. Who's the other one? This is my trusty servant, Petsy. Are you talking about an African or European swallow? That's from the beginning of the film. Where you see a breaking wheel with a victim on it. In the background. Just because it's legal does not make it moral. Pimping is basically sexualized capitalism. Let's talk about what the Earth will look like in about 50 million years. Like, at about 5 million years into the future, with about a million years, within like 5 million years into the future, the Mediterranean would become entirely, like, basically it'd be like a giant lake. But then eventually, 50 million years from now, the Mediterranean Sea would close in. A new ocean would form called the African, like, it'd probably be called the Afro-Asiatic Ocean. The Afrasian Ocean. It'd be called the African Ocean. Have 6 more floors to do, 24 layers left. Like, the Red Sea will have widened up too. Australia will have smacked into Asia. The Atlantic will have gotten wider. Same thing with the Arctic. Greenland would go towards the North Pole. Antarctica will have moved towards the Pacific. 100 million years from now. And also 50 million years from now. But there would be a new mountain range between Africa and Europe called the Mediterranean Mountains. Like, in most of the theories of what the future Earth would look like, the Red Sea will have closed up. But this is not true. This is not a very accurate representation of what the Red Sea would look like. The true representation of what it would look like will become it will have gotten wider. It will have widened a bit. A chunk of Africa will have break off of mainland Africa. From the Somali plates. If the Atlantic, 100 million years from now, from Scotista's point of view, he is a paleogeographer, one who studies paleogeologist. Paleogeologist. A geologist is someone who studies the ancient history of Earth. No, I'm not just talking about the early humans who roamed the Earth. I'm not just talking about that. I'm also talking about the dinosaurs, the trilobites, the previous supercontinents. That's what I'm talking about. But in both Livermore and Blakey's point of view, which is the most plausible scenario, which is the most likely scenario, the Atlantic Ocean would keep getting wider. Like, my theory on what the Earth would look like in 250 million years from now would be based on if the current position of the continents compared to 50 million years ago. 50 million years ago. In my theory, Antarctica would smack right closer to South America. South America will have moved up north. North America would move to the west. Afro-Eurasia would move to the east. With Southeast Asia moving south. There'd be one massive ocean 250 million years from now. in my theory of continental drift, the Pacific Ocean would close completely. Atlantic Ocean would be at its widest point. Much of the supercontinent would graze. Most of the supercontinent would be on the North Pole. No, would be most of the supercontinent would be in the northern hemisphere. With small portions in the southern hemisphere. By about 100 million years from there, only a very little bit of the eastern Pacific rise will be left. Very little of it will be left. The Juan de Fuca plates will have subducted underneath the ocean, underneath the North American plates. That massive ocean would be called the Indo-Atlantic Ocean. The Indo-Atlantic Ocean would be the massive ocean eventually continents break apart and get back together. Eventually, there'd be a massive mountain range spanning from what was once called Gibraltar all the way to Patagonia. Like, part of the mountain range would include the Aleutian Mountains. The Utopian Mountains would go... It'd span from Gibraltar all the way to Indonesia. And that supercontinent, I'd dub it simply put this, it'd be called Pangea 2. Just like how Roy Livermore called his supercontinent Pangea 2 in The Future is Wild. Like in my most likely, which is the most likely scenario, much of the East Pacific rise will have been subducted. It will have subducted by the Western Pacific Trench. No, Eastern Pacific Trench. The Aleutian Trench and the Western Pacific Trench. What will happen with the Puerto Rican Trench? Well, I've gotten kind of... Then, what remains of the Pacific Ocean would probably become something probably called the Pacific Gulf. But if Antarctica smacks towards the Pacific Ocean, it'd become the Pacific Sea. Will it be like? Humans will probably have left the Earth behind by then. Probably living on the red planet by then. And eventually, not dub that continent Pangea 2. Just like how Scoties and Livermore dubbed their concept as Pangea 2. But in my theory, which would be the most likely theory, Australia would most likely straddle along the equator. As Eurasia moves down closer south, Africa moves up north. There'd be one massive ocean called the Indo-Atlantic Ocean. Anyways, this is it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you like this video, dislike if you disliked it, subscribe for more, share this with your comrades on social media, and as always, thank you for watching, stay tuned for more, and